To watch my exclusive content not featured anywhere on YouTube, log on to my website at imjustheretomakeyoutthink.com/films.
You are now listening to ethnographic researcher Dane Calloway.
I want y'all to check out somebody named Dane Calloway.
Dane Calloway?
Look into Dane Calloway.
I'ma tell the truth and nothing but it, even if it's out of my constructed budget.
On I'm Just Here to Make You Think Radio.
Oh, see you everyone. Alright, now I'm only creating this video with the intent to produce a better understanding of what's next for the 2020 elections. Now, I would like for you to note a few things before we get started here. First of all, I'm not affiliated with any political party or organization. In fact, I am not associated nor affiliated with any organization whatsoever. So the information that I'll be presenting within this video or any other video that I create or have created for that matter will not be under the guise of any political influence, foreign or domestic. I am strictly speaking on behalf of myself, Dane Calloway, and all information that I present will be from my own unbiased researching investigations. So with that out the way, let's get started. So far, everyone has witnessed multiple news media outlets projecting Joe Biden as the winner of the 2020 presidential elections. And many people have posted numerous comments about their take on this entire ordeal. Some may feel as if Donald Trump was cheated out of this election, and some may feel as though Joe Biden won the election fair enough. But what's really important to note here is the fact that the 2020 presidential election has not completed its entire course of announcing the official winner. And that can lead to making things become totally confusing to some of my viewers who are unaware of what happens next. So I would like to explain just that. When using the app Instagram, for example, all politically driven posts by its users are accompanied by information tags located just underneath each post, and it reads, quote, "See the latest 2020 US election results," allowing the user to focus only on this particular information concerning the latest results of the US election. Keep in mind that it says the latest results as if it has not been concluded yet and it's still being updated. In fact, when you click on this information tag, it brings up another page that displays the timestamp of its latest update near the very bottom of the page itself. Going back to the very top of the page, you are immediately met with the bold font titled Voting Information Center. And under the presidential election section, Joe Biden is the projected presidential winner. And then underneath that, you see in gray font the companies that gave this projection. They are as followed: Reuters, NEP Edison, the Associated Press, CNN, ABC News, NBC, CBS, USA Today, the New York Times, the Washington Post, Fox News, and the Wall Street Journal. Now, I want you to notice that not one person, or rather company that I just mentioned, can make official executive decisions as if the news media can determine who the next US president actually is. It does not work that way. Projections are not official results, so that means that projections are guesses in this sense. And I'm sure your next question will be, then why would the news media outlets give projections instead of waiting for the official results? And my answer to that will be because everyone would like their favorite football team to win the very next Super Bowl. So wouldn't that same person give their opinions as to why their favorite team will win this year? In other words, just as you're entitled to have your own opinions, the same goes for news media outlets. And the point of all of this is for you to note that all opinions are not necessarily filled with truthful statements. The very next paragraph underneath the list of companies that projected Joe Biden as the winner starts with the question, what's next in the election process? This question alone informs the reader that it's not over just yet, saying, quote, each state's chief election official will certify the election results in their state. On December 14th, electors will cast their electoral vote based on the certified election results from their state. End quote. So this means that each state's chief election official provides each state's official election results, and not the news media. Section 31001 of the Election Code says, quote, the Secretary of State is the chief election officer of the state. The Secretary shall establish in the Secretary's office an elections division with an adequate staff to enable the Secretary to perform the Secretary's duties as Chief Election Officer. The Secretary may assign to the Elections Division staff any function relating to the administration of elections that is under the Secretary's jurisdiction. End quote. Now, the next sentence of this quote from Instagram detailing the next steps in the election process informs the reader of the date on which electors cast their votes, which is December 14th, an entire month from now, being as though I am recording this as of November 10th, 2020. And it also points out that these electors base their vote on certified election results from their state and not the news media. And this is where things can be confusing to a lot of people, because their next question then becomes, who are these electors? Usually, during the spring or summer months of an election year, both political parties in each state will nominate their own electors by a popular vote that they conduct themselves. This way, they can trust the electors they choose to cast their votes for the party's nominee for president in December during an election year. According to the National Archives and Records Administration, each candidate running for president in each state has his or her own group of electors, known as a slate. And these slates hold the responsibility of electing the new president and vice president of the United States, allegedly. And I say allegedly because we, the public, did not select these anonymous slates. But if you decide to vote, then you will blindly elect these anonymous slates. And here's what I mean by that. During the general election that usually happens in November of the election year, the public is allowed to vote in each state. However, by the public voters casting in their ballots, they are only selecting their state's electors, or slates, that were already chosen by both political parties months earlier. Hence the reason why it is called a general election, meaning that this process is traditionally conducted for popularity purposes only, to give off the illusion of a generalized inclusion. Listen closely. According to the National Archives and Records Administration, after the general election, your governor prepares a certificate of ascertainment, listing the names of all the individuals on the slates for each candidate. The certificate of ascertainment also lists the number of votes each individual received and shows which individuals were appointed as your state's electors. Your state's certificate of ascertainment is sent to the National Archives and Records Administration as part of the official records of the presidential election. End quote. There are a total collection of 538 electors that are called qualified citizens by the Constitution. This process is better known as the Electoral College, which is in fact not a place, but yet a broader understanding between the electors and the parties they represent. meaning that each elector has consented to conduct the same duties under oath by the means of the political party they represent and/or by the state in which they reside. Hence, the term college is defined as a collection or an assembly by the 1828 Webster's English Language Dictionary. Now, with all of that being said, let's move on to what's in store for the last months of 2020 into the first month of 2021. Donald Trump's legal team is currently in the process of contesting the elections of particular states, where polls generated by the news media indicated Trump holding the lead during the evening hours of November 3rd until the very next morning. Then several 100,000 votes appeared in Joe Biden's favor. Trump can legally pursue lawsuits in order to draw the attention of state legislators and the Supreme Courts to investigate all mishaps surrounding the election up until the Electoral College meeting on December 14th, 2020, where electors meet in each state and cast their ballots for president and vice president. According to the National Archives, each elector votes on his or her own ballot and signs it. The ballots are immediately transmitted to various people. One copy goes to the President of the U.S. Senate, who is also the Vice President of the United States. This is the copy that will be officially counted later. Other copies go to the state's Secretary of State, the National Archives and Records Administration, and the presiding judge in the district where the electors meet. This serves as a backup copy that will replace the official copy sent to the President of the Senate if it is lost or destroyed." End quote. The next date to note will be December 23rd, 2020, which is the deadline for submission of all electoral ballots to be received by the President of the U.S. Senate, which is again the Vice President of the United States. But there is also no penalty if this deadline is somehow missed. And then on the date of January 6, 2021, the U.S. Congress meets in joint session to count the electoral votes. Listen very closely. According to the National Archives and Records Administration, during the general election, your vote helps determine your state's electors. When you vote for a presidential candidate, you aren't actually voting for president. You are telling your state which candidate you want your state to vote for at the meeting of electors. The states use these general election results, also known as the popular vote, to appoint their electors. And listen to this. The winning candidate's state political party selects the individuals who will be electors. End quote. Now, we can conclude that the general elections, or also known as the popular vote, does not certify the next president, nor does the media. For example, during the 2020 elections, Democrat Vice President Al Gore was projected as the president-elect winner over Republican Senator George W. Bush by multiple news media outlets across America. Even the New York Times ran their newspaper the next morning with bold front-page letters saying, "President Gore." However, the Electoral College vote concluded in favor of George W. Bush, which indicates that it doesn't matter who's the most popular amongst the public of particular states. Eventually, the U.S. Supreme Court made the ultimate decision on who officially became the next president an entire month after the general elections, and George W. Bush was declared the winner and the president of the United States. Now, I'm not saying that things will change in favor of Donald Trump winning this election, but what I am saying is that Joe Biden has not been officially declared the next president as of right now, being an entire month before the electoral vote is actually conducted. I'm just here to make you think.